Hey y'all, back here. Today I wanted to give you guys a farming strategy that I've been using to amass basically just straight up currency in the form of uniques, omens, some div cards, and synthesized items, and of course raw divines. Now, this kind of just sounds like it's from mapping, right? Like it's a bunch of random items. It's probably from mapping. Well, kind of. It's actually ritual. And before you click away, this is not bait, I promise. I found that the buffed sort of like ritual running in the former nodes, Atlas nodes, as well as Scarabs, has actually made it into somewhat of a sustainable and viable strategy. Of course, it's not that great in terms of consistency, but at the same time, the strategy isn't really aiming for consistency, but it somehow manages to be consistent in a way anyways, which is really strange. I wasn't expecting it. I was doing ritual just more for fun, and on the off chance I found a mage blood, I'd be pretty happy, but that has yet to happen. However, I have found some pretty interesting items. So ritual is currently spec'd in such a way that we're trying to negate the downside. The primary downside with ritual is you have to run a full map, clear 4 altars, and afterwards you have to sit in a window to look at items. Now, the looking at items in windows part is something that you can't avoid just as the base mechanic itself. However, you can make this more efficient by giving yourself more windows to look at and more possible loot to pick from and generate in less maps. And how we accomplish this is through the new scarabs. There are 2 scarabs of abundance and 2 scarabs of selectiveness in our maps, every single map we run. What this does is it triples the number of items that we see in the window, as well as giving us 4 total rerolls for free. And that is an insane amount of additional chances to fish for big items. And the big items that you generally get now from Ritual, at least from my experience of around 150 to 200 maps, is raw divines, big synthesis items, and occasionally you'll find a cool unique or a divination card for unique, usually, at least in hardcore trade. Uniques right now in HC trade are very valuable, and they are kind of why I'm trying to do this strategy, but actually I found the raw divines that I get are actually more of the profit, the consistent profit. I see a surprising number of raw divines. I think I've gotten around 20 to 30 just from ritual alone. A lot of the times they'll come in just singles, but you'll occasionally see stacks of 4 to 5. I haven't seen anything bigger than that, but I'm sure they exist. I also did end up passing up a 4 just on accident when I was still learning the strategy, which is unfortunate. I didn't have enough tribute. So really this strategy depends on you just fishing for bigger items, and you take kind of small items that function to kind of sustain your currency, if that makes sense. Having a big investment at first also just helps so you can kind of take a loss until you find something big. In hardcore, the current things that are keeping me kind of in the green are Omens of Death Dancing, which I just find absolute metric shit tons of these. And on top of that, I also get Omens of Blanching, which are occasionally sold, but these are sold very regularly. And they're 20C each, which pays basically for 2 scarabs of abundance, which is really nice. You find things like Enlightens occasionally, and as you can see kind of my tab, there's a lot of synth items starting from right here. You'll find some cool stuff occasionally. It's like straight stacking stuff, in stacking, and if you're lucky enough, you can find something like Onslaught on Hit, which on hardcore trade there's only one other one, it's 40 div, but I decided just to craft and use it myself because Onslaught's cool. But of course another big one would be like plus power, plus frenzy charges, which are all really, really rare but really good. You can get like in stacking, straight stacking mods on a wand or something. There's just a lot of like possibilities for synth items that are build enabling that are worth just absolutely a lot. And if you find one of these, you end up in the green because these are not expensive to run. Again, the investment for these are roughly around 22 to 23 chaos from scarabs and cost of rolling the maps. A lot cheaper than like a Butte Harvest, which obviously is like more consistent when you hit 4 or 5 plots, but you know, as a strategy, Ritual I think is super underrated. And the best part of it, you don't have to full clear the map. You can literally just run around doing nothing but Ritual if that's what you want to do. There's always an option of rolling ritual maps a little bit more juicy. You get full clear, you get some rewards from the altars, which is what I'm running. I'm using this just to get more pack size. And you'll see that I'm also taking a lot of the explicit modifiers. And beyond that, it's a very flexible tree. You just need the ritual ones, and that's about it. I'm taking Shrine to also go faster, and it's kind of quote-unquote safety in hardcore, even though it's really more just for the speed. Now, how I clear these maps is a little bit different, so I'll have a demonstration in a little bit. But one last thing I do want to note is Ritual is a lot of fun, and I think it's important to just like play what you enjoy, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's a strategy that you can rely too much on in being hyper consistent. Even over like a large sample size, you may not find a synth item that's worth all that much, but at the same time, if you do, it pays off itself essentially. So now I'm going to run an example map. Again, you run 2 abundance and 2 selectiveness. I just roll these maps literally just to avoid some mods. I don't care about the quantity or anything like that. I will say the choice of map does sometimes matter. You can go for a map that's like more dense and roll some more pack size like Jungle Valley, and you might get more tribute. That is the only upside. I have found that I do get more tribute out of like Jungle Valley and stuff, but it's not enough to warrant me losing the minute to 2 per map to like clear more of it out, or just having to clear more in general or cover more distance. Atal is very fast as a map, and you'll see I rush the boss because there may be a ritual altar there, and if there is a ritual altar there, we want to kill the boss in it so that every other ritual altar has the boss in it, and this will just give us a little bit more to work with. So, clearing around, I literally now just go around the map and look for all 4 ritual altars, and I stop clearing once I finish all 4 of these altars.
Need a moment to catch my breath.
Okay, so, now that we've cleared the rituals, we have around 6k tribute, which is actually very low. You can see that some of the deferred items do cost a lot less, but they still are like a fourth. So how I usually start this is I'll look through all the possibly big items. The loot filter can actually sometimes bait you, so I'd be careful and definitely check some of the cards because they may just be too expensive. So you might want to click defer just to like kind of see what highlights, and if you have like a stack of div cards that highlight when you click defer but not when you have the filter on, and maybe because they're just too expensive and you maybe miss a stack of Mage Blood cards, so probably check that. But I'm just rolling to look for items that may be worth something. A lot of the synth items I'll hover over just to take a peek. And again, you're looking for synth items, rock currency items, and you're only deferring for the first couple rolls. You want to also watch your current deferrals. If they are outlined in red, you may want to redefer them. So in this case, that is going to end up being gone if we don't redefer it. And I will defer a free map. And finally, that is it. So actually, we did find an int stacking belt, which, funny enough, is actually worth not a substantial amount since it is mid-roll. It is not the 15%, but it is still technically worth something. Let me double check. It's around 50 chaos to 100 chaos, kind of probably depending on item level. But that is pretty good. So now, at the very end, you should have one last reroll that costs tribute. The decision here is if you have something that you really want to take out of your deferred options, you just take that item. However, if you don't have anything specific that you need to take or need to absolutely take, and you're comfortable with spending it if you have more tribute. So right here, if I deferred again, I found like a Mage Blood, I probably wouldn't be able to defer it. That being said, I don't really care, and I like to gamble, so you can see there's nothing really big enough here to warrant another deferral. So you just end up taking kind of what is notably cheaper, which kind of is just from the bottom up. And out of this, The rogue markers themselves are worth 9C. This is 5C each for the black oils, and 2 raw C, and an atoll map. It's not a lot from this one, however, we did defer that int stacking belt, which we will see at a layered ritual, and we can pick up for relatively cheaper tribute. And so this is why you also need to run a lot of maps to kind of get to your item. But something of note is you can do this. You get a crap ton more tribute, and that way you can just do a map and you can see all of your favors in one window. And if you have a big item that you want and you want to guarantee, you can throw in a bunch of blood-filled vessels, guarantee ritual, and run immutable dogma, and you should have enough to just get it. And worst case scenario, you just defer it again. Some big items need time to sell, but at the end of the day, it's a really fun strategy, and if you're kind of fishing for big items, I think it's a really fun way to do so. There's never really like a guarantee that you'll get anything big, but at the end of the day, you know, it's just one of many ways to make currency in this game, and I think I wanted to share sort of my approach to it because I've been having a lot of fun with it. So I hope this was helpful, but until next time, ciao.